Well, they make those ones with a clear faceplate because like the lip reading thing's an issue for a lot of
Oh,
people.
yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely one here since birth.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And, you know, I just kind of lip read, just as a matter of fact. It's been a lot harder to follow along.
Yes, it is.
But do you ever notice you can tell a lot from people's eyes?
Oh, yeah.
Anytime.
Okay, we'll begin the planning board meeting for July 15th. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda, attendance, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we go in his clip. Cliff,
Here.
Art Christie,
Here.
Alan Shiner. Nope. John Horn,
Here.
Sam Spada.
Here.
Do you have one?
Do we have the minutes?
I haven't seen them.
Could you get the minutes from the last meeting and just email them to us so we can review them?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry about that. Do you want me to go over just kind of what it was for last meeting? Because it's on the agenda sheet. I didn't know I needed it separate. I'm sorry.
No, if you could, would you guys prefer, like an email to us so we can look them over?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay.
So next is gonna be Crossroads. Jack, you wanna come up and just,
Good evening, it's good to see everyone again after all this time. It's a standard operation that we've done for the past few years. The site plan approval, the special use permit expires if we don't have a building plan or building permit in operation. So we're looking to have that extended for another year as we continue to jump through the hurdles to get this project underway.
any questions? If there's no questions, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second that. And on you go.
Yeah. Let's
Thank
do
you
a
very
do a
much,
roll
gentlemen.
call vote, Carrie. So
I'm
we
sorry?
have it. Let's do a roll call vote.
Cliff? Oh, sorry, Alan.
Yes, sorry.
Nope, that's okay. Cliff? Just keep going.
Yeah.
Art Christie?
Oh, yes.
Isn't the meeting closed to the public?
Yeah,
Says if
yeah.
you're wearing a mask, it's open.
We'd like,
And I have business before the zoning board anyway, if I could.
this is the planning board.
This is the planning.
Oh, okay, what's the zoning board?
In August.
Okay.
Who was that, Chuck?
I think so.
Yeah.
I have a hard time identifying people.
I know.
Did we, I'm sorry, guys, what?
Did we complete the roll?
No, Alan Shiner.
You mean John?
John Horn, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And Sam Spada.
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Little confusion.
We'll follow up with the form.
Yes, I
Send them
will.
up to the office and stuff.
Just keep in contact with me, give me a couple days and give me a call if you don't hear nothing.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
Middletown took care of it last week, so we're all good now for a while. So thank you very much. Have a great day.
Would you mind sending Firelight up?
I'm gonna go down.
Oh, thanks, Harry.
Can I help this board?
If you don't mind me asking, so Crossroads has just got the motion to approve their extension?
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Just extends it for another year. It expires if they don't act on it.
How, can I ask questions while I wait? How long can it be extended for? How many years? Can it just keep going and going? Or is there a certain amount of time?
They can go on indefinitely if they keep renewing it. Did they pay you to renew it, by the way?
Not yet, that's why I was curious. I mean, anytime, as far as I'm under the assumption and I was aware, if anybody wanted a building permit, okay, and they filed for the first building permit, and then after 1 year, and they renew it once, after that first renewal, they have to do the whole process all over again, am I correct? So how could this be,
That's new. You used to be able to renew building permits.
Yeah, and if it hasn't been started,
okay,
then they might have to renew it. But if they've been working on it for a period of time, then you can renew it.
but you don't, you can just, like, let's say you're anybody else, and you get a building permit now, next year it expires, then you renew it once. Can you go for 5 years, just keep renewing it without doing a whole new application?
I believe so, if you're working on it.
Okay, thank you, Harry.
You know what I mean, if you're keeping up with inspections and things. I'm not positive about it, but I believe.
Firelight's
That's
Uncle
not where
Pete's.
it's going, and that's why.
Uncle Pete's Campground?
Oh, Pete.
Yeah, and then.
You understand what I'm trying to explain? It doesn't, I don't understand.
Well, they came in a while ago, they wanted to put tents
Between
out
that
by the
guy,
water and stuff.
he's got a
Elevated platforms
good, he's
and
got a good
bathrooms
idea, and I got a
together.
bad left.
So come together.
But they
Yeah,
never,
sit next to
they
each
came by
other.
twice, I think, but they never formally applied.
What I don't understand
That was a while
is
ago.
It was a while ago,
significantly
like,
the procedure
yeah,
is if you have the
at
building
least a
permit,
year,
let's say
2
I get
years,
the-
it's been a,
I have it for a year, I do the paperwork, I do everything, pay the full amount. And then in a year, the job's not done, and they want to renew it, it's $25 to renew it. And let's say after 5 years, I can just keep renewing it and renewing it, but I was told no. After the first renewal, you have to start all over again. How is that working with them? That's my question.
Yeah,
Or am I confusing you?
yeah. They've got so many environmental impact studies done, so many things between the county and the state, that believe me, nothing. That, this is how I feel.
But-
Nothing's gonna get overlooked.
No, I don't mean just them.
There's a
I mean
term
in
out.
general, is.
What's the policy?
Well, yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what I mean.
It should be written down somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but I know,
Help me,
Don-
I know.
I'm pretty sure on the building permit, if they started it,
we're just finishing out now.
That's my understanding, yeah.
We're gonna apply.
And I thought if you
See
had site plan
applications
approval,
again.
you did have 5 years.
You have 5 years? Is
That's
that
what I thought for site plan approval,
Where would I find that, Sam?
to pull an actual
No,
building
just-
permit and begin work. That's what I thought, I don't know what's there.
Where would I find it?
Gotta be somewhere in the book.
let's see. You could probably also, on a building permit, you could call up the state. Yeah, so, you know. They'll probably say it all depends on what your local municipality is, but that's where you can start.
Hi,
Good evening. Sitting, standing.
you can speak them up to the mic, that's fine.
Hey everyone, so I'm Luke Interrante, applicant for the Maidstone project on Plank Road. We're presenting an application to develop that site under a special use permit to build a boutique hotel, spa, multi-purpose observatory space, and a couple dozen cabins for short-term rentals. So the owners of the property are under contract to purchase. It's a team of very, well-known, well-experienced hotel operators and real estate people. One of which is a full-time resident in Big Indian. And basically, we're here with our consultant design team. We have our lead architect, civil engineer, environmental consultant with us that can answer any questions and go through the plan for you and basically present the project and hope that it's well received by the board.
Sure.
Okay?
Now, do you have several names? We're calling it the Maidstone, but it's...
Well, it's the old Maidstone property. We're calling it the Plank Road project.
What's this
For now,
Orem?
the Orem is going to be the name of the development once it's completed. So in the submission package, you'll see some details about that branding, about the operators, the owners, and what that's going to cater to, and how the property will be used. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ciro Interrante. He's got some boards that you can look over all the site plan. We've included some renderings and things that you can browse through as we look at that, and he'll take you through the actual layout of the site and what we're proposing to do. That's great, thanks.
Good evening, my name is Ciro Interrante. I'm a licensed architect in New York State, and my office is in Poughkeepsie, New York. The project, this has been submitted to you, but this is the basic site plan of the project. And what we're looking to do is, the desire is to build the hotel on the site of where the fire was, and the building was torn down. And then the hammam spa and the multipurpose building would be up on the side of the mountain along with the cabins. We walked the site and we realized that this existing road does not have very good visibility, plus it's narrow. So we're proposing a road to come up, and we walked this area, and this is where there was some logging that was done, and the contours are relatively more flat than the steeper section here and further up the mountain. So the road would be improved so they'll have access for like construction equipment, emergency vehicles, fire department equipment, and so on. This would be the entrance for visitors. We're keeping the parking down at the lower end of the site. And this would be like a service road. The visitors would be brought from the parking lot up to the cabins in the spa with like golf cart or smaller vehicles. But for service and equipment and so on, the road would come up, be able to loop around, and then get back down and off the site. The buildings, I believe this was submitted with the package. This is preliminary designs for the buildings. I'm pretty sure you might have seen these. The first couple of pages are for what the design for the cabins would look like.
See that?
You don't have this?
The third packet down is separate.
I was looking at a big page, sorry about that.
So the first couple of pages, we have 3 different sized cabins, a studio cabin, a 2-bedroom, and a 1-bedroom. So the first couple of pages are for the cabin design. The fourth page, the first 3 pages is the studio, the 1-bedroom, and a 2-bedroom cabin. The fourth page is the multi-purpose building. And then the last page, the second to the last page is the hammam spa, which is kind of like a Turkish bath. And then the last page is the 20-room boutique hotel. And we've also done a grading plan. We've done proposed septic locations. The detail of the sign would be a monument sign etched in granite close to the road. The main entrance would be, the existing entrance is in this location. The new entrance would be shifted over about 125 feet. And then the service entrance would be further down the road. These locations improve the site distances as well. And it included an image of the original survey that was done for the property, and location of where the different soil types are. We have some details. We're looking to do possibly some improvements up in this area to capture some of the water and do some dry hydrants, and maybe create some water features, some rock and water features for the visitors. So we have some details for the dry hydrant and just some standard civil engineering. Our civil engineer's here to talk to some of these details also. And that's pretty much it. We can answer any questions that you might have.
I wonder if the big house,
The big house
I remember seeing.
is right here. Now, the plan is to renovate and restore the 3 buildings that are already on the site. That's this one here with the nice stone features and so on. This is the other house, and this is the other house. The plan is to renovate those and restore them back to their original glamour.
So from Plank Road, you can barely see
No, Plank Road's wouldn't,
buildings that are there now.
you would probably see part of this hotel, but up in here, you wouldn't see any of it. We're gonna try to keep as much of the natural trees and vegetation as we possibly can. This is showing, we're not showing much green in this area, but we would nestle these cabins between the trees and try to leave as much natural vegetation as possible. The whole point is to get people to experience, nature and as naturally as they possibly can, and to get away from, the hustle and bustle of city life and so on, to experience what it's like for, country living and fresh air and that kind of stuff. We really do want to do, try and develop some water features and stuff like that as well.
Did I hear you say that there's an observatory building?
Observatory,
Observation building, or is it?
it's this here, there'll be an observation deck on all 4 sides, might be for like night viewing of stars and possibly, some sort of gathering for like, maybe yoga or that type of stuff. It's a multi-purpose type use.
If I were to drive up that driveway tomorrow, is it, I could just do that? I've never been up there.
Does he need permission to get in there?
It's private property currently, but yes, you could. If you drove right up there, I mean, you could drive up there and,
I could leave before anybody caught me.
Yeah, it's pretty, actually, the guy that's here now has a couple dogs, so just be careful.
You guys don't own this yet, correct? Is that right?
So we're in contract, and there's a preliminary period, grace period in order to present this project and hopefully come out in a positive light and do some form of approval so that it can then be closed upon here.
Gotcha.
It's contingent, it's basically a contingency clause in the contract.
But the existing driveway is here, you could probably get this far, you'd be able to see this house, and maybe this one. But
Nothing else is there.
no, it's just all woods right now.
What zone is this?
I could turn it over to Matt Rudakoff, who's our planning consultant.
5 and 3. Under here. Yeah. I think we had the wrong time now.
My cards. Carrie?
How are you?
I'm Matthew Rudakoff. Thank you for your help. So I'm Matthew Rudakoff. I'm the planner and the environmental consultant for the project. From Mount Tremper, and planner for many, many years. This is a great site, 132 acres, and it's 3 different zones. At the closest to the road, for a depth of 500 feet, is R1.5. Then for another 500 or 600 feet, it's R3. And then up to the back is 5 acre. The good thing about the zoning is that in every one of those zones, 1.5, 3, and 5, the use is a permitted use. Hotel and cottages. It's a permitted use with a site plan approval and with a special use permit approval, which are the applications that we've submitted to the board in the package that we've submitted. We comply with all of the zoning and coverage requirements, even in the special use permit provisions where for cottages and for hotels, some of the spaces are doubled in terms of coverage and in terms of side yards, so we're far beyond that in terms of compliance. And so really, the site can be developed with, in theory, can be developed with much more. So we're under those requirements. And what we did is, in a submission like this, where there's a special use permit, in our package that we call our narrative, which is the one that's our project narrative with the maps on it, what we really pay attention to is going into the special use permit conditions and standards, because they're the ones that really drive the planning compatibility of the use. And so we have a whole section which addresses the compliance with the general standards for special use permits. And then we continue into the section which is the standards for specific uses. And there is a provision in the standard, in the special use permit standards for hotel and cottages. And so we separate those out and we go through every one of the standards and we identify why the project complies. That has to do with coverage, compatibility with the neighborhood, traffic, minimum lot size, and all those various criteria, which are what the special use permit usually gets into. So we really want to pay a lot of attention to that for the board to see that not only is this a big piece of property and zoned for it, but that it really sort of fits in and the use was really envisioned in the preparation of the ordinance. And so we felt that is a very, very positive thing. Even where there are certain standards where lot area is increased by 100% for every 8 units of housing, either hotel units or cottages. So with that, we end up needing 25 acres, which is pretty substantial for this number of units, but we have 132 acres, so we're well within those kinds of criteria. What we also did is we looked at the seeker requirements for this project because of the disturbance that's going to be needed for the roads and for some of the stormwater management and the new cabins. We're disturbing a number of acres, which the state seeker says makes it a type 1 project. So we're indicating in our submission that it's a type 1 action under seeker because we disturb more than the 5 acres, which is what the threshold would be. So as a type 1 action, which I assume the board is somewhat familiar with, the only real difference is that one, you have to use a full environmental assessment form, and the EAF we submitted to the board is a full environmental assessment form, and we go into the detailed answers to all those questions. And the second thing that you have to do if it's a type 1 action is that the planning board, as the main agency reviewing the project, has to declare lead agency, and it has to be what's called a coordinated review under seeker. And if you need any guidance on that, we'd be happy to send you the materials that describe that, although we describe it, in summary in the submission that we made to you. And what lead agency means is that the board would, if it so chose, would declare itself lead agency, and then the materials that we've submitted, the cover letter, the project narrative that I just showed you the cover of, the EAF itself, and the plans, they would make a package of them and they'd be submitted to the other involved agencies. And in this project, there are going to be other agencies that have to approve it. There's going to be Department of Health for septic. There's going to be DEP for stormwater and septic. There's going to be Ulster County Department of Public Works for the curb cuts on Plank Road. And there's also going to be DEC on stormwater also. They'll be looking at the stormwater discharge permit as well. So there's these other agencies that are technically under seeker involved agencies, and they will have to make their own approvals for those elements of the project. So those seeker procedures is something that we feel very important that we follow because this is a big project in terms of financing and bankers and all that. And when the bankers look at the resolutions and the approvals, they want to see that everything was done procedurally before they, loan millions of dollars out. So we're hopeful that we can assist the board if the board so desires in accomplishing this. So we were hoping that tonight we could actually ask the board to declare itself lead agency. There's no approvals associated with that. All it would be doing would be if you declare yourself lead agency, you would distribute the materials that I just described, the cover letter, the EAF, the plans, to those other agencies. And we, I'm a member of the Ulster County Planning Board. I'll have to recuse myself when this comes to the Ulster County Planning Board. And as a planning consultant to the town of Woodstock and many other towns, do these kinds of secret reviews all the time. And we would be, the owners of the project authorized me to say if it was any help to prepare any of the lead agency circulation material for your review, we'd be happy to do that. Of course, you'd have it reviewed by whomever, Howie or Kerry or yourselves. And then once you approve that, we put the packets together and send them. And what you send along with the material from us is you send from the planning board a lead agency circulation notice, which is what is saying that we, the planning board, have received this application. It's a type 1 action. We feel that we're the appropriate lead agency, and we're asking you, the other agencies, to agree that they would be lead agency. So we'd be happy to do that. Of course, review everything through you because it's be your materials and submissions, so you'd have to be okay with that. But we would ask you to do that. Of course, after that is when you really get into the actual review of the material in the plans themselves, as well as in the EAF, to see if you have any additional questions or in addition to what you've asked tonight, and also to ascertain whether or not there are any environmental impacts in your opinion. And of course, in this situation, one of the good things is that because the other agencies like DEP and DEC and Health Department are going to be reviewing it, their reviews help the board with determining secret impacts, because many of the secret impacts would be in those areas: water, sewer, traffic, etc. Traffic because of the Public Works Department reviewing the curb cut applications. So that it sort of comes together very, very nicely. But my firm, doing the more traditional environmental things like flora and fauna and those kinds of things, we did a site inspection of that site, and we also, with the full environmental assessment forms, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but DEC has a website where you put in the SBL number, and really what comes out to you is a pre-printed EAF that's populated by the computer with all of the existing state databases. Talking about where wetlands are and where freshwater, surface water streams are, where there are endangered species, they sort of come up. And then, so we did that. And what's nice about this site is that there are steep slopes, but we're staying off those steep slopes. And there are areas where there are some forest, which is considered to be a prime habitat. But we're not going into those forested areas, the most forested areas. As Ciro was saying, we are being very selective in our cutting because that's the ambiance we're trying to create. But there's a hemlock forest and there's a chestnut forest, and also way up at the top, we didn't see any, but there's a habitat for timber rattlesnakes. And that's because there's lots of loose stone where the steep slopes are, and it's south facing, so that's what is described as a rattlesnake habitat, but we're not anywhere near there, so it's not an issue. So there really aren't very many environmental issues of real concern. And the real issues are compatibility with the zoning, compatibility with the neighborhood, and those are some of the things that I described in the special use permit standards.
So there must be a lead agency?
Yes. Yeah, if it's a type 1 action, there has to be a lead agency, and it has to be designated as part of a coordinated review, which means that the material has to be circulated to the other involved agencies. And what that means is that when the Shandaken Planning Board makes its determination of significance, which, we're presuming will be a negative declaration, that would mean that the other agencies, DEP, Ulster County Public Works, Ulster County Health, they would rely on your negative determination for their approval.
But now, wouldn't we be the lead agency by default?
No, because there are other involved agencies, and when it's a type 1 action, the other involved agencies have to agree on who will be the lead agency. And so the agency that gets the applications, the first applications, the most basic applications, which are the land use applications.
So if it's not us, nobody else is going to volunteer.
Probably not.
So we are by default.
Well, except that you have to go through this procedure, and either they agree in writing, or they wait 30 days, and after 30 days, you're exactly right, it is by default. But it's only after the 30 days, after you let the other agencies know that you have this application, and you're giving them a heads up. You're giving them the heads up on the application with the application materials that we've submitted, so they know it's coming. And they're very happy to have you be the lead agency and to gather all the information, review the plans, and then they'll have information for when the engineer and the, is submitting the stormwater, the sewer, and the water measures. And so it works very well. That's why SECR does it that way. That's why SECR is set up that way.
But maybe I missed the earlier presentation, there's no dining here?
Pardon?
There's no dining?
That's correct.
There is no dining.
There's no dining.
Yeah, I thought maybe I missed it.
I think even the cottages have
Take him up on all of his.
Considering a small kitchenette, which would just be limited to
right. So even the cottages are just going to have a small convenience. So,
For the other agencies.
Private.
There's no restaurant?
no restaurant. No restaurant at all. No, in fact, the whole idea of Orem is the A-U-R-U-M name that you mentioned. The whole idea is that it's a very contemplative place, a quiet place, not a big celebration kind of place, as it stands. So that's really the zoning issues, the seeker issues, the FEAF, what we actually found, and so if the board was open to starting that seeker process, really all you would need to do would be, by motion, would be someone move that Shandaken Planning Board be lead agency and authorize the circulation to the other involved agencies. And then between now and the next meeting, if you are open to having us prepare any of those documents, we'd be happy to prepare the lead agency circulation documents for your review. And we could even send them out, but however you wanted to handle that, we'd be in touch with Kerry and figure out what's the convenient way to do that. And then at your next meeting, when we're on the agenda, if it's 30 days, either the agencies would have answered saying, yes, we want you to be lead agency, or 30 days have expired and they haven't answered and you're automatically lead agency. So at that next meeting, you confirm, just in the minutes that, we've gotten the responses and you are now lead agency. And at that time, you would answer you'd ask whatever additional questions you have on the plans and on the EAF and on anything else, of course. And if you're comfortable with with the responses on that, you actually could, I'm not sure what your procedures are on a regular basis, but in theory, you could make the referral to the Ulster County Planning Board, and you could even set a public hearing date and far enough out so that you have a response from the Ulster County Planning Board back. Of course, we wouldn't have the approvals from DEP or Ulster County Health at that point, so those things would get submitted and processed as we're proceeding. So if there's any more questions, or if there's anything you guys think I left out? Yes, sir.
Hi. Hard to recognize the mask, but I remember you actually from the county planning board.
Oh, right.
So with a project like this with all these agencies, did you do a gateway meeting? I'm just curious.
No.
Okay, wouldn't be of help on something
No,
like this?
gateway meetings are where there's really complexity, and the different agencies have really crucial issues. There aren't any really crucial issues here. The road is a low-volume road, plenty of capacity. There's a driveway that's a problem, as Cyril had said, but we're going to move the two driveways, so there's plenty of site distance. There are two existing the sewer system, the septic system, and the water system really exist already, so it's not like we're creating new systems. They have to be upgraded and probably expanded to some extent, but there aren't really any sort of feasibility issues that would necessitate a gateway meeting.
So what is the future development?
So the future development is in this narrative. Try to lick your fingers and turn the pages. Phase one is the proposed action is the new construction of the 20-room hotel. And if you have this narrative document, that's on page 2. So the proposed action is new construction of the 20-room boutique hotel, new construction of 24 detached single-unit cottages. And by the way, that's one of the special use permit requirements, is that cottages have to be one-family cottages. So there can't be multiple family cottages. There's the retention of the 3 existing detached buildings as additional cottages, and the special use permit also says that if there are various buildings as part of a hotel development, they all have to sort of operate as part of the hotel motel complex, and so we're doing that. And then there's obviously the new construction of the spa and the multi-purpose structure, the multi-purpose observatory structure. And there's site renovation and new construction of associated roadways, parking, landscaping, utilities, stormwater management, septic and supply. Then right after that, the phasing, so 3 phases. Phase 1 is just the renovation of the 3 existing buildings, plus cutting in some of the rough cutting of the roads, which we have to get up into the back part of the site, to do test pits, to do some stormwater design planning, and we would like access to that. In order to access a site like that and to do test pits and stuff, do we need an approval from the board or the town, or is that something that we could do?
What was your question?
To go in and do test pits, or to have our engineers doing some survey work and
You don't
getting...
need approval for that.
Okay, so we can do that as part of the, just going through the application view. Then phase 2 gets into the construction of the 20-room boutique hotel, and that gets to page 3 of this project narrative. The 20-room hotel, and that's on the site of where the fire was, as Ciro had said. And this site also includes the construction of the new accessory structures for the spa, the multi-purpose observatory, and the 2 new site entrances will be in phase 2. And the beginning of construction of accessory off-street parking, lighting, and associated site utilities, septic systems, stormwater management facilities. And then it's not until phase 3 that we get into the 24 new detached cottages. So those are really the components of the project. Then we go into the discussion of the special use standards, which is...
Question, so
Sure.
those 3 phases are shown on the plan as I read it, but it still says future development, road to mountaintop and future development. That's what I'm questioning.
Is there a phase
So that implies
four?
a phase 4?
No, there's nothing planned for phase 4 currently. That's basically a old logging road that dead ends as it is right now. And the thought behind that statement is basically if there were to be any further expansion, it would be a completely new application, and that would be the access. Let's say, for example, they wanted to subdivide and there were going to be a single-family homes built or something like that. We don't know, we don't have any plan for that. But again, that's where that road would dead end because of the 100+ acres. There is plenty of additional site there that in theory could be used in the future were it approved for that use under a separate application. So that would absolutely be nothing that would be approved in this application. It's only for...
So if that was to go that route, this potential subdivision, this becomes a private
It
road?
would become a private road type of scenario under that case. And that's really very big unknown because like if that was a future owner of the property or something that decided to do that, again, it would be all under a completely new separate permit.
As
There
far
is no intent.
as far as we're concerned, right now, it's a logging road.
As far as you're concerned right now, it's a logging road. It's essentially where our development dead ends, and that will be sort of the end of the improvements.
Thank you.
Yep.
And all parking is done away
You see
from the
that?
cabins and the hotel?
Or logging,
Parking.
or parking, well, parking...
They've got
Two
four parking lots.
We're trying to keep parking down.
Here's the existing house, and here's another existing house, and the driveway comes up here. So we're maybe 100 yards from what is currently developed. We're going to try to develop the parking in this area. For the people to get up to these functions, it would be like a golf cart or a small vehicle to drive them up here. The whole point is that we wouldn't have vehicles driving all up and down over here. We want the people to experience, maybe walk up,
Or realistically, walk.
or walk around and experience nature and that kind of stuff. So it wouldn't be, there would not be everyday constant traffic up in this area.
Even the hotel.
Well, the hotel's right here, so they would be parking here and just walking to the hotel.
What's that building above the,
This one?
no,
This is the hammam spa. It's kind of like a Turkish bath.
okay, it's not a,
They,
not a hotel.
well, they soap you up, they massage you. When you walk out of there, you feel like a new man.
Careful with the camera.
Are we in uncharted territory here where you don't own the property? You guys are not the owners?
No, but the contract for sale authorizes them to proceed with applications, because that's going to be a contingency upon which they're going to close on the deal.
Okay, so there's nothing strange.
There has to be a letter from the owner though, saying that it's okay for them to
Do we
represent.
have it?
Yeah, we do have that, we can send that to the town.
So we have to submit it. We should have.
Yeah, by way of the contract, we have full authority, and approval to be doing this. That's the reason, like I said, it's the main contingency within the contract.
For us to be able to do anything, we need some sort of, that we can't accept applications on somebody else's property. So whatever you have, we would need a
We
copy
can
of.
have it
Yeah.
by the first thing in the morning.
Yeah, we don't want the whole contract, just pull out. the
Understood,
page.
yeah,
Yeah.
just authorization.
Or a separate letter, whatever, yeah.
Perfect, yep, no problem.
Make a separate letters to make application.
I'm sorry?
A separate authorization to be able to make application
That's
before
right,
you
yes.
for the project.
Is there an old, if I remember correctly, I'm trying to go back quite a ways now. Isn't there an old quarry on the top of this property where the rattlesnakes are?
I think that's where the talus is from, but I don't know that it's a working quarry.
I don't believe it's a working quarry, it's an abandoned quarry.
Right, but it had been in operation at the time. And I don't know.
I never went up that far, so I don't know.
You can find out if you need to know. We can look at, Google Maps and see what we can see over that. So we'll find out about that for you.
I'm just trying to orient myself to know where you got on this.
Well, how far it goes in your mind, right? Yeah. You get your answer on that.
Thank you for all the work you guys all put into this. I appreciate that.
I have a question for Sam, or, this is like the third or fourth similar project we have in Shandaken. Are these things springing up all over the county, or are we blessed with a lot of them?
There's an approved one in the town of Gardner, similar to this, with a spa and hotels.
Yeah, but we have the Alpine Inn that's similar.
Yeah, Urban Cowboy, yeah.
Yeah, actually, this is the
There's
third
another
one.
couple of two or three of them that I can't keep track of which is which, but are these going everywhere?
Well, they're going in desirable locations that are drivable distances from the metropolitan area, which is the driving force. And that's happening in the urban areas too, like in Kingston, where those small 20 and 40 unit of hotels they're going in. And that's just a new form of transient vacation kind of development. And there's a very strong market for it. People aren't going as far as they used to, and the drive-to distance is still really becomes a more desirable than ever basis. There's also a couple of golf course developments that are happening further south. There's similar kinds of, being driven by similar market factors.
So Williams Lake was one, I think?
Yeah, well, that's huge, and from a long time ago.
I have a question, is this going to be open to the public, or is this going to be a corporate retreat?
It's without really a public attraction, aside from maybe the spa or something like that. There will be day services. But there is no restaurant, as we mentioned, so there's really no draw unless you're staying on the property. Like I said, unless you want to go. I would compare it sort of to the Emerson in the sense if you take away the restaurant, it's either you're staying there or you might go to use the spa, but that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything stopping someone from going up and walking the grounds or something like that, but it's primarily catered to the guests that are staying there.
No kitchen facilities in the cabins?
Nope. That's, we call it an efficiency, not fully designed yet, but potentially a small refrigerator and maybe a microwave. no cooking equipment.
And the idea is that really integrates the people and the place into the community. So they go out for meals. The efficiency kitchen is really a breakfast-oriented kind of a, breakfast snack kind of a facility.
So, you show it, looks like a kitchen, oh, maybe no sink, okay. I know it's just a model.
Yeah, the rendering,
Yeah.
Kitchenette,
Sure. I said, I know I saw a range hood in one of those.
Not in the hotel.
No, it's cabin
yeah, we
A.
have the 3 models of the cabin, right? They're all based on the same footprint, and then the second largest, adds an extra sleeping room, and the third largest adds 2 sleeping areas. Something like the third largest, where there's a lower number of those, there might only be 4 or 5 of them. They might have a little bit more. We could envision a family coming to stay there and maybe, cooking a late meal or something like that.
What's the anticipation of the length of stay in these cabins?
I would say that's probably like geared toward a weekend thing, maybe a Thursday to Sunday, as is most popular in the area. And as far as that goes, I mean, people are looking for a base place to come and stay, and then take advantage of, all the different local things, whether it's the tap house or somewhere in Phoenicia or going up to Hunter or something like that. So we envision people staying for 2 to 4 days probably on average, 2 to 4 nights, and then, traveling out during the day, to the creek and the mountains and hikes and different things like that.
No.
Let's just move it on.
Sorry.
I have one more question. How many people will be there when it's full occupancy? What is the occupancy of it when it's full?
So we have a 20-room hotel. We expect that, would rarely be at full occupancy, at most hotels in the area, but on holiday weekends and things like that. So we have the 20-room hotel, 24 cabins, and then the 3 existing properties, which would just be single use for each one. So potentially you would have 44 or 47, depending on how many people you have in those, maybe 100 people.
Is that what it is, 100? That's the answer?
100 would be the answer at max capacity. It's hard to say because we don't know how many people will be in each party, but if you assume a couple people per room, single occupancy in some, that would be a fair guess.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So you guys comfortable with the agency?
Are we allowed to take that motion without the letter from the
I don't
owner?
think so. I mean, I think we need a letter to move forward. I just wanted to get everything.
But yes, I'd be comfortable.
I think, yeah. So describe the timeline to me on that, since you do need that letter.
Well, one, I would request that you would potentially consider making that resolution and declaring yourself the agency contingent on us delivering you that letter, so you could still do that tonight, if that, you agree with that. But then the lead agency process takes a maximum of 30 days, and in that time, we'd be continuing to develop additional plans and submittals to you. And then we'd be ready to come back to another meeting where the board could ask questions, request further information as you have those questions. And then there would be, if, for example, everything were answered at that time, which very well might not be. But then the next step would really be, once you have enough information to satisfy your concerns about the EAF, and once you have enough information to satisfy your questions about the applications being made to the Shandaken Planning Board, you really could refer it to the Ulster County Planning Board, and you could schedule a public hearing, which of course cannot be closed until you have the response from Ulster County Planning Board back. But those steps really could occur. The real time uncertainty is how you are dealing with your own questions about the application, and how you're dealing with the issues of the outstanding approvals such as sewer and water and stormwater. which is by other agencies than yourselves. So those things have to be in place too before you're granting your full approvals.
Sure.
So time-wise, you really, in theory, could be, in 2 months, be ready to schedule a public hearing.
Now, didn't he say that he already has a letter?
They have, yeah, but we don't have a copy.
We do, we just need to provide it to the
Yeah.
file, which I said we'll do tomorrow. So what Matt's saying is if you could
You guys be
make that
comfortable with
motion contingent
I was
upon
curious to
that.
hear from Howard.
So I have to say that I'm very impressed with the presentation. I agree with pretty much everything you said about the zoning and the permitted uses for special use permit. I think it's very professionally done. And I'm not sure that cabin development would restrict, a small kitchen to provide. I don't think, it's not like a guest house on a private property. It's a different situation. So if some of the cabins have, efficiency kitchens, I don't think that restricts projects.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it is allowed. I just saw it. So I guess if we're okay with that, take a motion to accept the question to act as lead agency contingent upon receiving the letter of permission. I'm sure I could have made that sentence a little longer for you, Jerry.
So is it a motion
If
to,
I'm
yeah?
right,
Yeah, go ahead. Help me
you
out here.
say, declare your intent to declare yourselves lead agency and authorizing circulation of the materials submitted by the applicant to the other involved agencies to get their concurrence on.
He's longer than you.
I was like,
Is that okay?
Let's just shorten that up a little. Motion to what?
Declare the Shandaken Planning Board as lead agency and to authorize the circulation of materials for the type 1 action to the other involved agencies. That's good.
contingent upon receipt of,
Yeah, the letter.
yes.
The letter authorizing the
Letter of
applicant.
authorization, yeah, agent authorization.
And I'll get that tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll drive it up or fax it over, yeah, no problem.
And, well, why don't you consider that first?
So that someone's making a motion. Okay.
I'll second.
Vote whenever you're ready.
Okay. So,
Me?
yeah.
Yes.
So you're first, right, and then I just did that one.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so we have Cliff, yes. Art Christie,
Yes.
John Horn,
Yes.
Sam Spada.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Hi.
Now you're, it's the best,
The name,
yeah.
the name. And so the only other question is, would the board be okay if we were to assist Perry and Howie, whomever is responsible, to prepare some draft documents that could be used?
We are going to take you up on the offer to put together the documents to circulate to the other agencies, because Carrie has a lot on her plate as it is. Yeah, so we'll take whatever help you can offer in that
Yeah.
department. But yeah, I don't think, Howie would object to interacting with you guys, right? Or-
Good, thank you. Thank you for your questions and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's another applicant down there, would you mind sending them up? Oh, sorry, thank you, Howie.
Thank you very much.
Good night, thank you.
Good night. You may have firelight down there still.
Okay. Between your lawn and his lawn grant, it was, can you go over that? The motion was to declare, and he was like confusing. Hope you don't mind. Say that sentence again. He was going on.
To
Just so I understand it. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I really
It was to
apologize.
declare our intent to act as lead agency.
Right. Lead agency to continue, then he was saying
To
continue.
circulate material. I think that's just acting as lead agency though, I think that's all.
Okay, that's basically what I got, kind of between the two of you, and
Yes, please jump in if that sounds wrong to anyone.
I'm sorry, between, I
it's
didn't
fine,
understand
Carrie, no, it
a
was-
lot that he was like
No worries.
going.
Both of us rambled a little. It's our intent to act as lead agency regarding this project with Oro.
What happened, how long are we gonna wait for that letter before I proceed and say, we need that letter?
Till they get it.
Till they get it, yeah. I mean, nothing happens until that, they don't have that intent declared until we receive that letter.
Okay, and
And
then,
make sure you have the contingent written.
yeah, and then the next step for them would be, after the letter, would be what? I'm sorry. They have to come in front of you?
They'll come
Yeah.
back, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just,
You're fine.
Looks like we all get to go home.
Hey.
Nobody out there from I can see.
So we should go quick.
well, it is 8:00.
I think my clip shrunk between the end and the division now.
Yeah, I know, I'm looking at it, it's not gonna fit on there. Oh, well, did you have the voter and stuff?
The Starlight's been here before, what were they looking to do today?
They were
They
going,
want to take over
another
the
site
Uncle
plan.
Pete's campsite,
Right?
and they're looking to move forward on that.
Because I think they've only come to workshops, right? And they would,
Yeah, yeah, I
but they
don't
would
think
do
they
due
did.
diligence?
Yeah, I don't think they made a, formal application.
Okay,
They did a presentation.
so this is the application then, I guess.
Well, it's not quite the application, but it's, at least it's the direction that they want to be going.
Anybody have anything else?
You know, I worked on the house next to this.
Oh, really?
You want to talk about rattlesnakes?
I've never, all the years I've been here, all my life, I've never, ever seen one, never.
That's where it is, the top of Mountain Mill Road. I went up there, and the whole rock quarry looked like it was moving. Like,
Wow.
and I said to myself, boy, I better get a glass of water. I said, I'm really in the sun. And I looked over, and I said, oh my God, there was a whole den of rattlesnakes just laying out on the bluestone rocks.
Yeah, that whole area has a history of rattlesnakes.
Oh my golly.
Can I
So
ask
the
a
other thing
question?
we want to mention, and I'm not going to force you into it tonight, but we need to really talk about the fee structure.
Yes, that's,
Yeah.
Maybe the next meeting.
because we could be making lots.
We've looked at it before, I mean, is there really more discussion we need?
We need, I got, how does it, Howie, I'm not stepping on your question, but how does it, what does it go to next? Howie and I presented it to you. I guess at that point, months and months and months ago, everybody.
It has to go to the town board.
Right.
Right, but
We can't make it happen, we can only recommend.
We
Right.
gave Rob a copy of it, said it looked great. And do I have to get like approval letters or approval in a letter stating that everybody on the board says yes? And then the board approves it, or is that what we're doing?
Well,
I think it just starts here and goes there.
Yeah, it
Suggest
goes
that we-
from here to the town board.
And then they have to, but how much, I mean, can we kind of say, can we get this going? I mean, it's been since December.
I know, you've been very patient.
I just figured it's mainly me being pushy, because we've been trying, well, you were trying before I got here.
Well, maybe.
Did we ever formally vote on it?
We never did, no, we discussed it and kind of, because it always comes up at the end at like 8:30.
I'm comfortable
I didn't see
taking a
it.
vote
Why don't we vote
Jump
for it
in.
now?
It's just-
Well, I don't have the materials.
Well, I don't care what it says.
Hang on.
What are we charging? $25 for municipal search?
And
Woodstock is charging.
I think it should be in file, maybe I have it.
So it lets me.
I mean, I have a stack of them that I've been putting, like, not off, but I've had so much with the
I know I've
COVID.
got it in my stack at home somewhere.
And I don't have it in
I'm
this.
sure it's legitimate, and why don't we just vote for it?
We do, I mean, I do anywhere maybe in a day, having like 4 to 5 a day. I mean, that could be really a lot of revenue for the town.
Why don't we just make sure that we do it next time?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe if we got together like quarter to 7.
Yeah.
And I would ask you this, please, when you email the minutes, attach the new fee schedule,
Right.
Okay. Yeah,
that way it should be a slam dunk.
And one more question on this, are we gonna appoint anybody else? for the-
We're just
the
gonna
board?
wait till,
Is that what
Don's
we,
term ends,
okay,
yeah.
that's what we, okay.
yeah, at this
Okay.
point.
Whatever happened to Alan? Just out of curiosity.
Whatever happened to,
Yeah, Alan.
Well, I know he's been,
I called him and spoke to him
yeah,
today.
he's been kind of hiding out since
COVID?
COVID, yeah. I don't remember I heard anything since we first started that whole round robin of planning. You know, trying to find that public hearing.
I spoke to him this morning, and I had called, because it's easier talking to everybody
Sure.
online sometimes. But he said, no, I won't be attending. I told him, I said, okay. I said, I just wanted to talk to everybody and find out who's going to be there. He just said, no, I'm not gonna be able to, I'm not coming. And Joanne, I don't
And
know.
she was sick, yeah.
Yeah, she was sick, so. I have never even met him, I don't think, so it's been like October, I guess, if he even came October, which I don't know.
He did us good, I seem to recall him sitting here,
No, he's definitely.
but that was before March.
He's, yeah.
Because I came in November,
We've
I
only
don't
had
think
one
I
meeting
met
since
him.
March.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't even know.
He
But
was
that's
in
what he had
March,
told me.
April and May. We have nothing. That's 6 meetings.
Will
All
the
right.
next meeting be open to public?
I didn't hear that.
Will the next meeting be open to the public? Yeah,
Who really knows, right?
yeah. I mean, I don't even know what's going on with school in September.
When I came in, this barrier was across the room. And the protocol was that anybody from the public this is what they did at the town board.
Doing it all via Zoom.
What other? A while? Should she have been called? Does she come to the next
She
meeting?
usually just comes.
I know.
Why is the county having meetings?
That I don't know either.
I believe they've been.
They are having meetings.
Yeah.
I'm still technically the person, but Vivian's been doing it, so I see the invites. Now, I can't say if they're doing them face-to-face yet, because they're in even a smaller room than this. Differently oriented.
I mean, they were the ones that put out the Zoom kind of how-to.
So should I
can't-
contact her when we're gonna have our next meeting and see, Vivian, what we're gonna do?
Yeah, but,
Okay. I just figured I'd throw that out question and ask.
yeah, but to answer your question directly, Howie, I just don't know until it gets closer.
Okay.
My priority is keeping everybody healthy so the kids can go back to school.
You're hoping for that?
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Okay, so I guess that's it? Can
That's
we
it for
adjourn?
me.
Okay, I'll make a motion, close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I will keep this nice and fat for now, is that okay?
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up things, but I just had questions.
Put a rubber band around my, put a rubber band around my very serious.
Okay, cool.
Right here, huh?
Yes. So I'm just gonna leave this in everybody's file, is that okay like
Yeah,
that?
that's good, because
Everybody.